Hi, everybody. Welcome. We're so glad you could join us tonight. We'll give people a few seconds to come in. Welcome to Tosa Talks. Okay, I think we'll get started just a little after 7. My name is Robin Luther. I'm from Tosa Together. Welcome to Tosa Talks, building a diverse, thriving community, an ongoing Facebook series that is live and proudly sponsored by our generous friends at Bostic. Tosa Talks features 3 monthly presentations designed to provide meaningful discussions around racial and social justice issues to support the work of building an inclusive, anti-racist community. Tonight's talk is titled Breaking the Cycle of Incarceration Through Technology and Living Wage Jobs. We welcome and encourage you to take part in the live Q&A session tonight. Please add your questions for our speaker into the Facebook comment section during the presentation, and we'll get to them towards the end. Now it's my pleasure to introduce tonight's hosts, Sarah and Bud Hudson. Hi, Sarah and Bud.
Hi.
Thank you so much for doing this tonight.
Hello,
I'm
everyone.
gonna disappear.
We're really happy to be here tonight with our guest, Eli Rivera, co-founder of The Way Out. The Way Out is an amazing local organization that strives to help formerly incarcerated individuals embrace difficult personal experiences, overcome the stigma often associated with a criminal conviction, and create a fulfilling future for many returning citizens into their communities. Hi, Eli.
Hello, Bud. Hi, Sarah.
Yes,
Hi.
it's so nice to have you here tonight.
It's wonderful to be here. Thank you.
Eli, why don't we start out tonight by you telling us a little bit about your background and what motivated you to start The Way Out, okay?
Yeah, absolutely. So thank you again, Tosa Together and Bud and Sarah for being kind hosts. So before I share my story, I'd like to share with you what my life's journey has taught me, and then kind of go into that. So, overall, my journey had taught me, if we buy into the limiting beliefs about ourselves or others, we do not offer ourselves or others the opportunity to truly experience our true potential as human beings. We stay stuck within the constructs of the reality we've been born into and conditioned to believe define us. And as a light-skinned Latino, I am mindful that not everyone has the same opportunities to successfully move forward with their lives. There are things such as skin color, name, zip code, and gender that folks will use against us consciously or subconsciously. We mustn't pretend that these unjust circumstances do not exist. Instead, we must accept them and embrace them as part of our imperfect humanity. And we must remember that the goal of our existence is to ultimately progress and find unity amongst ourselves so that we can evolve into our God-given true potential as human beings. So with that being said, I'd like to share with you who I am and where I've come from and what inspired me to co-found The Way Out. My full name is Eleuterio Colon Rivera, which is why I refer to myself as Eli Rivera, because otherwise it has gotten slaughtered in the past. I am a first-generation Puerto Rican. Of course, Puerto Rico being a U.S. territory, I was born and raised on the mainland here in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, where I've lived my entire life. My grandmother chose to move here along with my mom, my aunt, and my 2 uncles to start working at Masterlock, a factory that was and still is, I believe, located on 32nd and Clark on Milwaukee's west side, which is where I grew up. My mom and my grandma, as well as my aunts and uncles, all originally lived in the same house, very typical Puerto Rican style household. The ladies were carrying the burden. So I always experienced a very matriarchal upbringing. Unfortunately, like many families of color, the dad wasn't around. My father wasn't around. My cousins dad wasn't either, although he was a provider, he was working. Mine had kind of drifted off at the age of 4 years old. And so that, that was definitely one of the turning points in my life. And so it's interesting, you started off describing the way out and stigmas and how coming out of incarceration, there is the stigma. For those of us who are born into poverty, into these marginalized communities, there's so much stigma. That one acquires and starts to really believe defines them. And so in living in the neighborhood that I grew up in, I started to believe some of these things were defining me. I was also part of the minority in the neighborhood. This was a predominantly Black neighborhood, and I, light-skinned Latino, was the white boy. So I carried that burden as well. My mother had me at the age of 17. She was pregnant at 16, and a few weeks after her 17th birthday, she had me. This was, again, very challenging. She was trying to make a life for herself. So I was really brought up more so by my grandmother. And so, again, kind of chipping away at that self-esteem was, my father's gone, my mother's not around, she's doing her thing. And so I really started to kind of gravitate towards what I thought I should be becoming as a young man. And that was adapting to some of my uncle's behaviors and believing that being in a gang was important and was part of the male experience. So all of that to say, we eventually moved out of my grandmother's house back to 32nd and Brown, still in the west side of Milwaukee, ironically enough, across the street from the home that I was born in. And again, experienced a lot of tough things. Always fighting, always, kind of having to defend myself and prove myself in the neighborhood. And also, this was the beginning of the crack epidemic, AIDS. There was essentially a brothel across the street from my home. So I was experiencing all of this in my young years. And so eventually, my mother met a man who lived on the east side, a hardworking man who later on became my stepdad. And they started busing me to Hartford Avenue School on Milwaukee's east side. This was really interesting to me because prior to that, I was at Longfellow on Milwaukee's south side around a lot of Latinos such as myself, was learning in Spanish. Actually, English is my second language, but I grew up speaking more English than Spanish later in life. All this to say, Hartford Avenue School was kind of the eye-opening experience because I never really had anybody to compare my experience to other than other poor people. And so as I went to the east side for school, I started to see, going to people's houses after school and seeing these incredibly beautiful houses. And, it started to have this visceral effect on me where I started to feel smaller and smaller. During that time, at Hartford Avenue School, by the fourth grade, I was smoking a lot of marijuana. I was, participating in that behavior again in fourth grade. And eventually we ended up moving to the east side. My stepfather was managing an apartment building. So it was the east side, but we were living the apartment life, which was fine. It was definitely moving up from where I was. But again, this sense of not having a home, living in an apartment building with college kids and cleaning up after them. And, so again, that was an interesting experience as well. And then ultimately high school came around and all of my grade school friends were moving gradually over to Riverside High School, Milwaukee Public School, and I wanted to join them. And unfortunately, at the time, My mother thought it was a good idea to send me off to the suburbs, to high school in the suburbs, rather than to this public school with my friends. And I attended Shorewood High School, and again, kind of saw a wider gap of my life experience and what others, what the other side kind of looked like. All of this to share, not only my life experience, but knowing that I'm speaking to folks in a suburb of Wauwatosa, how important it is to understand that this may be the experience of some of the children who are being bused into the area. And in the schools and being open to what that means to them and having dialogue, and all of that is very important. So anyhow, long story short, progressed through high school, was really again hyper focused on this what I don't have. And so I had made up in my mind, like I'm gonna make myself a millionaire. When you live, when you grow up in the streets, you're told you're going to have to take it because no one's going to give it to you. You're not going to get the same breaks. Never really understood what that meant until later in life, kind of seeing how, it really is who you know. It really is about, having generational wealth if you're going to have your home, or you're going to take loans out to start a business or otherwise. So anyhow, it was after high school. I was actually accepted to UW-Madison, went for a semester, decided it wasn't for me, but later on came back and reapplied over at UW-Milwaukee. Ended up dropping out after a couple of years and was totally broke at that time. And, kind of had this idea of going, full-time into bartending. And at the same time, some friends had come along and had mentioned to me this venture of homegrown marijuana and growing it and selling it. And so what started as a small idea eventually evolved into a warehouse and subsequently ended up in me eventually being incarcerated for that manufacturing venture. And so I spent a couple of years between prison and the halfway house here in Wisconsin, and came back, after incarceration. Well, during incarceration, you can take two roads. You can stick to yourself and try and stay out of trouble, or you can gravitate towards a group for your protection, your self-identity, for whatever purpose. I chose to go the solo route. I grew my hair out. I had gained about 60 pounds before going in there, and folks thought I was this crazy guy and left me alone, which was okay with me. I didn't speak to anybody. I would just work out every day. Lost 60 pounds while I was on the inside. Studied finance, studied all sorts of stuff just to keep myself busy. All the while thinking, I have a son who was just born back home. And that along with standing up in front of a federal judge and apologizing for again, feeding into that stereotype of the Latino drug dealer. Those two instances were like the most defining moments of that experience. Was number one, I fell into the very thing everyone said I would, or expected me to, and damn it for following that track. And then the other was again, I'm gonna miss out on some time of my firstborn child. So that was all challenging. So I was like, okay, when I come out, man, I'm going to knock it out of the ballpark. I'm going to make up for lost time. I'm going to make sure that everybody is taken care of. And that's so common. That's so common when you have nothing else to do but think of how great life's going to be when you get on the outside. You can really start believing that. You can really start to believe that no matter, as soon as you get out there, life's going to be different. But it's not. It's harder. Now you have this felony conviction. You can't just go and apply for a job. There were instances in the past where I would apply for a job and it was my name that was the hang up. It was my name that I knew somebody was kind of judging me off of this long Spanish name. But now I had to explain that I was a felon, So that was huge. That was huge. Fortunate enough, I had a friend in the restaurant industry who needed someone to run a coffee shop for him. And so while I was at the halfway house transitioning back out of prison, I was able to work there. And as I worked there, I was still at the halfway house, and I could hear the stories. I could hear the guys coming in and saying, nobody invited me for an interview today. Yes, I went out and applied 20 times. There are even a couple of occasions where people didn't meet their window of opportunity to find a job, and they were revoked and they were sent back to prison for simply not meeting that particular criteria. So really, really understood, like, geez, having a job, that's really the first step towards reclaiming some dignity, towards not just reclaiming the dignity, but unfortunately, the system finds you, even when you're in the halfway house, you're paying half of your paycheck to be there. It is a challenging reentry experience. And so again, knowing that I was blessed that I didn't have all the strikes against me. I had a supportive family. I had a home to come back to. I had these things. I realized in the back of my mind, not everybody did. Not everybody had this. And so I went on living, I went full bore into the hospitality industry, all the while always knowing, like, I will never judge somebody that has been incarcerated, ever. And so after the coffee shop eventually was sold, I went to a local restaurant group that was opening up, had recently opened a location up in my neighborhood, and had applied just wanting to be a dishwasher. Unfortunately, my first marriage wasn't working. We were in the process of a divorce. And all I wanted to do was put my head down and cut and cook and not do anything other than that. And the director of operations for this organization looked at my resume and said, no, that you're not going to do that. You're going to be up front and you're going to help me run this restaurant because you have the skills to do that. So that was my break. That was my opportunity to see what that feels like, and ended up running that restaurant within a year. I was the GM. Between my team, my leadership, the folks that I was bringing in, we had such an eclectic team. It was amazing, and we were the highest producing restaurant within the group. We had some of the best financial success, the best social success. Everybody loved the location. I'm not going to share that because I haven't asked them if it was okay if I could. But anyhow, all of this had stuck with me, and it's really easy to get sucked into the hospitality industry and get busy. So I did, and that was my time I did was over 20 years ago. And so immediately coming out of incarceration, I had put in another, 15 years in hospitality, and hadn't decided to kind of go back into this life experience of being incarcerated until my new wife had invited me to one of her classes. She taught social work, still does, at the university, and had invited me to speak about my experience growing up, in poverty, eventually going to prison, all the stuff that I'm sharing with you now. But it felt so good. It was so therapeutic. It was so amazing to have reconnected with something that had happened so long ago that I guess I had never really processed. And so, I told her, one day soon, I'm gonna hang up the apron, so to speak, and I want to do something that is in this field, and in working with folks who are coming out of incarceration. And so that ultimately led me to what I'm going to share with you, which is The Way Out. and co-founded that with my partner Ruben Galena to help folks who've gone through some of what I've experienced, or all or more, to find employment.
Wow, Ellie, that's a wonderful story. Thank you. Thank you so much. We really have much more knowledge now about you and why you did this. Really appreciate you sharing this.
And Ellie, we really appreciate
Yeah.
all the personal experiences you had in terms of the way in. Okay,
Yeah.
what took you into the prison system, and how many others are impacted by that. And I think for all of us who are listening, we have simply been sensitized, a couple of degrees more than what we ever had been before. So thank you very kindly for that.
Yeah, very, very nice.
Thank you.
Okay.
Well, we're looking forward to seeing your presentation too, if you're ready to do that now, or would you like to just talk a little more?
I'm happy to share with you what the way out is and what we're doing at the way out. And then when we're done, I'm more than happy to take any questions about my personal life experience or anything to do with our platform.
Okay,
Okay,
that would be
good.
wonderful. Thank you.
All right, excellent. I'm gonna just jump right into that then. Let me open this up here. And we'll begin my presentation here momentarily. And so I'm here to speak with you now about the way out, where we're breaking the cycle of incarceration through technology. In the fall of 2019, American Family Insurance Institute for Corporate and Social Impact and G-Beta Social Impact hosted a panel discussion at the Sherman Phoenix in Milwaukee's Sherman Park neighborhood. Among the guests were myself and Ruben Gaona. We were drawn to the event because the topic was extremely near and dear to our hearts. We, like the panelists on stage, have both experienced being incarcerated and the subsequent challenges of finding a job with a felony conviction. Shortly after the 2019 event, Ruben and I decided to follow our dream and create a comprehensive anti-bias employment platform that would align employers with qualified justice-involved job seekers in their industry, while providing additional services and technologies to help them integrate into their new roles successfully. We understood that not only do justice-involved job seekers need jobs, but they also need a strong support network at their side. Unfortunately, it can be challenging for reentry service providers to meet the full breadth of their population's needs. In the summer of 2020, we were fortunate enough to have been accepted into Generator's G Alpha social impact program, where we began working on our platform. And then in October, we entered their G Beta social impact pre-accelerator. Along the way, we were fortunate enough to have met our partners, Ryan Graham and Starla Thompson. By the end of November, we launched our anti-bias platform and started servicing justice-involved job seekers. So you've already heard about me. Let me share a little bit more about the Way Out family. Co-founder and COO, Ruben Gaona, was born in El Paso, Texas, and moved to Milwaukee's South Side at the age of 15 with his siblings and his mother. In 2017, Ruben completed 7 years of a 10-year sentence. He worked as a reentry specialist with the state of Wisconsin for almost 2 years. And in 2019, he founded Second Chance Wisconsin and began providing guidance through motivational speaking to formerly incarcerated people and others facing barriers. Ruben is a U.S. Navy veteran, former employee of the Department of Defense, and is currently a senior at the University of Wisconsin-Milwaukee Helen Bader School of Social Welfare. Ruben has had the privilege of speaking at several reentry engagements throughout Wisconsin to discuss the merits of the way out and its anticipated anti-recidivism impact. Chief Learning Officer Starla Thompson of the Forest County, Potawatomi, and Santa Ynez Chumash Nations is an accomplished educator, speaker, and inspirational leader who was born and raised in Chicago and then relocated to Milwaukee. She has spent most of her adult life serving communities through leadership development and Native American cultural awareness and education. Starla's life mission to effectuate positive change, provide a voice, and expand justice for vulnerable populations inspired and led her to the way out. She's created a nationally recognized personal development and professional succession program that catapults participants to the next stage of their careers and lives. Partner and product manager Ryan Grant was born and raised in a part of Milwaukee's systemically oppressed 53206. Ryan's seen firsthand the lasting emotional and physical consequences of employment discrimination and poor support services for justice-involved persons and their families. Ryan joined The Way Out because he firmly believes that individuals who truly want to better themselves should be given a second chance, regardless of their history. Professionally, Ryan is an experienced illuminator with demonstrated history in product management, entrepreneurship, and leadership, a Google Developer Challenge Scholarship winner, and certified Scrum product owner studying computer science, communication, and entrepreneurship at the College of St. Benedict and St. John's University, where he's also a senior. 2020 was an incredible year for The Way Out, and 2021 promises to be even more so. We started offering services to justice-involved job seekers at the very end of 2020, which included taking one individual from a $9.25 per hour job to one where he's earning now over $30 per hour. Most recently, the Milwaukee Business Journal named us one of the 21 startups to watch in 2021, and we just received a $54,000 grant from American Family Insurance Institute for Corporate and Social Impact to cover subscription costs for 15 reentry service providers across Wisconsin. By our estimates at The Way Out, this sponsorship opportunity can positively impact the lives of almost 1,000 justice-involved job seekers throughout Wisconsin. Not only will this keep many families together and help build stronger communities, but it could also reduce the cost of recidivism by nearly $31 million. According to the Department of Justice, almost 700,000 formerly incarcerated individuals are released back into society annually from prison. This total does not include over 9 million individuals leaving our county jails on an annual basis. So when you take into account the financial impact on families, their children, and their communities, the annual cost of incarceration is well over $1 trillion per year, hundreds of millions of dollars in Milwaukee alone. Unfortunately, almost 2/3 of those released will return to prison within 3 years. Why? Unemployment. One of the leading causes of recidivism is lack of employment. Did you know that an individual with a felony has a 50% less likelihood of getting a call back from an employer, and their unemployment rate is nearly 25% greater than that of the general population? In fact, the current unemployment rate for the recently incarcerated is over 27%, which is even worse than the unemployment rate during the Great Depression. All of this, despite the fact that there are 35 states plus the District of Columbia who have effectively banned the box. For those of you not familiar with what Ban the Box means, Ban the Box is the name of an American campaign by advocates for ex-offenders aimed at removing the checkbox that asks if applicants have a criminal record from hiring applications. In Wisconsin, the Ban the Box law applies to public sector employees for the state of Wisconsin. Criminal history inquiries can only be made after the applicant is certified for the position. Criminal history inquiries and background checks are prohibited until after a conditional job offer. One of the greatest challenges to returning to society and finding a job after incarceration is going from an extremely limited and predictable life to one filled with many choices and responsibilities. This information overload can often result in returning citizens shutting down and returning to a familiar life of crime, putting them at risk of reoffending and returning to prison. The Way Out provides a streamlined support and communication platform for returning citizens, reentry pipelines, support service providers, government agencies, and employers. The Way Out helps keep families together and grow communities by reducing the annual cost of recidivism. If we can impact just 1% of the recently released, we can save hundreds of billions of dollars across our country. Our hope is that these savings will be diverted to various social justice programs within systemically oppressed communities, like Milwaukee's 53206. In a survey of 29 employers, almost 91% said they were willing to hire justice-involved job seekers with proper ongoing support and financial incentives. Employers understand that the retention of quality employees not only builds business, but also saves in additional training dollars. The Way Out is a comprehensive anti-bias job platform that aligns employers with qualified justice-involved job seekers, also provides the justice-involved job seekers additional services and technologies to help them integrate into their new roles successfully. The Way Out accomplishes this through a robust anti-bias employment platform and self-learning mobile app. While other second chance employment platforms only focus on bringing employers and employees together, The Way Out additionally focuses on development and retention through ongoing training and support. First off, our platform creates a blind contextual profile of the justice-involved job seeker that initially removes name, address, history of incarceration, and any other information that may cause immediate biases in a potential employer, while positively considering personality traits, personal accomplishments, and additional trainings and certifications. Next, justice-involved job seekers are screened for additional support needs, aligned with reentry service providers to help address their training and support needs, and then matched with the job. Lastly, all progress is tracked and managed via the self-learning mobile app and dashboard. On our website, justice-involved job seekers are onboarded, support needs are identified, and their anti-bias employment profile is created. Whether they have a resume or need one, we can certainly help them get one made and then uploaded into our onboarding process. But we also find out things such as, do they need housing, transportation, employment skills training, or any other information. This is really, really helpful for them to reintegrate and again, bring their full selves to the job. We find out if there are any other things that may preclude them from a job, whether it is legally or based on any other formal restrictions for the job. And then we work to get them placed with an organization that would be a good match for them. Here's what the anti-bias profile looks like from an employer's side. In this case, Green Capers Banana. This individual has, a background in administrative and clerical management, and it isn't until there is a match made on the contextual information provided, not the stuff that we share with the reentry service provider, but just strictly on that brief summary that I showed you. And then if there is a match, the employee is free to reach out to the employer. The cloak is dropped. They both get to know who one another is, and then they can move forward. This is the platform that the reentry support service provider uses for the client to chart a journey so that they can see how they're doing, can incentivize the returning citizen to make sure that they are accomplishing their goals, staying on track. And again, providing these prizes keep them engaged, especially if they're prizes for their family, bikes for their children, or incentives for them to take their family out to a water park. All of this is very motivational for someone coming out of incarceration. And so the My Way Out is the Way Out's mobile reentry support app and dashboard that establishes real-time communication between returning citizens, reentry service providers, and additional supportive service providers. Reentry service providers can establish a clear and concise reentry plan, load it into the app, and by using the app, the clients can track their own progress and accomplish their personal and professional goals. The Way Out, My Way Out app is gamified and incentivized to promote higher levels of engagement. This is a quick overview of what the app looks like. It's very simple. For folks who do not have mobile phones coming out of incarceration, we do look to partner with organizations to get secondhand refurbished, repurposed phones so that they have access to that. It is downloadable in both iPhone and other modes of phone applications. So you can download at the App Store or in Google Play. And again, just a tool to help someone succeed in their reentry. So with the help of Project Return Milwaukee here, we've serviced several justice-involved job seekers in 2021 and have received verbal commitments from many other reentry service providers, government agencies, and second chance employers. These partnerships will grant us access to thousands of justice-involved job seekers and jobs in various industries. Meanwhile, graduate students from Marquette University's Product Development Program are continuing their work on refining our anti-bias employment website and algorithm. With the current devastation that the COVID-19 pandemic has wreaked on our country, the number of unemployed and underemployed workers will continue to climb, and the need for support services and jobs will be at an all-time high. The Way Out's platform is needed now more than ever, and with your help, we can continue breaking the cycle of incarceration through technology. Thank you, and I'll be happy to answer any questions that Bud and Sarah share with me, or otherwise come through the chat.
Well, what an incredible presentation.
Thank you. I know I threw a lot out there.
Yeah, and just sharing that incredible background, and then the work and the connections that you and your partners have developed. You're to be applauded.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Very creative.
Thank you. Thank you.
Which one? Oh, yeah. Okay, let me ask this question, and you partially answered that, but maybe we could just clarify it, because it seems to be a fairly important spin-off of what you folks are doing. What is the impact of employment on recidivism?
The impact of employment, well, as I mentioned, 2/3 of folks go back within 3 years.
Yeah.
And so having employment is a huge part of that. Almost 50% of formerly incarcerated individuals are unemployed at the time that they are revoked.
Mm. Okay, and do you have any statistics, or are you gaining them in terms of the number of people with whom you have directly worked, and how many of them potentially have, for one reason or another, gone back to jail or prison versus the percent that has not?
Yeah, so we are very new. As I said, we just started the platform at the end of 2020, but I can say the folks we've brought in over the course of 3+ months, everybody is still safe on the ground here. Everybody has had their needs met, and so. But to your point, that's where the data is coming in. That's what we will start to work on, is capturing that information and seeing how these experiences are. We know that the average cost of incarceration just for putting someone in prison is roughly $35,000 per year. That is an extraordinary amount of money that could easily be invested on the outside, a fraction of that to help folks. And so our hope is not only to find employment, but to get the data that helps us understand what types of supports are supportive of a successful reentry, and then to also find out from employers what types of skill sets would be more valuable to have folks learning while incarcerated versus some of the vocational training that is nothing more than a way to keep people out of trouble in prison. It should be training that is relative to the life experience that they're going to see when they get out and the jobs that are available to them.
That was one of my questions I was just going to ask, about can some of this be happening while they're in prison to be trained, and then they're, able to use that when they get out. How many people do you have at this point going through your program of the Way Out? Yeah, so we've onboarded close to 24 people since we started, and we did that with no marketing. No, nothing. COVID world, where most organizations are closed. People have found us. And we have jumped on it, even relocated a couple from New Mexico who were having trouble finding employment out there, and managed, again, with the help of Project Return Milwaukee, to find them employment, housing, all sorts of stuff between us to get them on their feet. So it may not sound like a lot, but again, if 24 people aren't costing you $35,000 to house, it's a win. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
I've got one. What are some other startups similar to yours that are doing interesting, impactful work in this field?
Yeah, so what we have found in this field so far is that, the majority of the focus has simply been on like an employment platform. So there's 70 million jobs. There's honestjobs.com. These are wonderful organizations that bring employers and employees together, but there isn't that additional vested opportunity in the life experience of the individual, which we provide through our affiliates and also through the support mechanisms within the app.
Okay, I'll ask another one.
Another question is, what type of employers have been good for your program?
Yeah, so the majority of the jobs, tend to be what I think most folks would expect. Manufacturing, warehousing. We've been pleasantly surprised to see how healthcare has embraced second chance employment. Both, not just your basic entry level jobs, but there are some wonderful healthcare organizations out there like progressive community health centers that are working with case managers. So administrative roles for folks who have come out of incarceration to work with other folks who've come out of incarceration in the healthcare industry.
That's wonderful. Okay.
Well, you might have addressed this, but let's do it again if you haven't. Can you elaborate on how recently released individuals learn about the way out?
Yeah. So we've been fortunate enough to have had incredible support from our community and have really met some really amazing people that have helped us. And so what had happened originally, as I said, it was just kind of word of mouth. And then we were given an opportunity. We're waiting to find out now to participate in a big Department of Labor opportunity that would take us into the prisons to onboard and begin the process. So that is another opportunity. And then through our friend Shannon Ross over at the community, who has the largest internally circulated newsletter, we have gotten access in. And so, in the last 4 days, I've had access now to 60 individuals reaching out to us from the inside saying, hey, when I'm released, what do I do next? And so we're starting to participate with them to actually start getting the information so that we can onboard them literally before they walk out the door, much like the pilot program we're hoping to be a part of in June.
And once that gets started, Ellie, you're going to have all sorts of business. That's wonderful.
Yeah. What's important, we've ironically run into a situation where we didn't have enough people for a large consortium of employers that wanted to help out, wanted to participate, and we just didn't have access in their area to a pipeline of potential employees. And so we're building those pipelines. We're getting folks who are already out. Hopefully we can work with more folks who are about to come out and have these folks ready to go. So when these manufacturers, when these warehouse jobs open up and folks want and need people, that there are these career opportunities ready to go, and it's a seamless transition.
That's wonderful.
Okay, another question, Ellie, is are your job seekers' resumes posted outside of your participating employers that is made available to others?
No,
Okay.
This is again, we just provide the cloaked version for folks who are working with us. We do offer free job posting, but then there's no additional support. So we have an anonymous job post. If an individual is interested and the employer has no interest in partnering up for a long-term support, we can make that match. Just let the employee know, hey, this is the organization that's hiring, go see them on your own. Otherwise, what we encourage, obviously, is having that wraparound service. But all resumes are cloaked. they are intentionally so that we're just matching contextually, what are the skill sets, what type of person are you looking for? And then really the due diligence is on the employer after that to then do their whatever their typical orientation and onboarding process is after the fact. Our hope is once they meet this individual that contextually they said, yes, I'd like to meet this person. Once they meet, there's that opportunity to say, yeah, I know you've been incarcerated and I'm okay with that. And let's start talking. And so that entire stressor is off the table.
Yeah. Wow.
Okay. You have another one?
What are the benefits for employers to hire de-incarcerated employees?
Yeah. That's a wonderful question. So there's so many levels, right? On the altruistic level, you're doing the right thing. You're giving somebody a chance that may not have been given a chance otherwise. On the business side of things, of course, there are tax incentives. There are federal bonding opportunities. There are workforce development offsets. We work with the employer to find out what they're suited for, what they're able to get in order to help offset this. So there's a wide range and everything in between, what the benefit is. But again, remember, a person with a job is more likely than not to be spending within their community the money that they earn. This is money that is creating a tax base. This is, most importantly, again, hopefully keeping someone from costing an additional $35,000 to be incarcerated. So there are so many benefits from that altruistic personal level to community to country. Yeah, it's huge. It's huge, really, the impact.
Thank you. That was a good answer. We have another question. What are your sources of funding or revenue?
That is the question. So we chose to purposely, we chose to not be a nonprofit. We did not want to fight for nonprofit dollars with organizations that were kind of helping us do what we're doing. We did not want to be seen as competition, but rather allies in this. So we formed a Wisconsin Benefit Corporation, whereby we are a for-profit. It does kind of hold our feet to the fire to two things. One is to make sure that we are self-sustaining, that we're making the right business decisions and partnerships to remain self-sufficient. And although we only were in operation for less than a year, the obligation to report wasn't there for 2020, but in 2021 as a benefit corporation, we will have to share publicly all of the achievements that we've made in the social impact space. So, how many people did we help? How much impact did we have overall in communities and many other factors that benefit corporations have to report on. So it keeps us transparent and it keeps us, motivated to stay self-sufficient. And so we have a GoFundMe page. Again, American Family has been very generous in helping us out. We're currently raising money for a PRI, which is a project-related investment, so that since we are not a nonprofit, it's a way for folks to donate to a nonprofit fund that we are the beneficiaries of and still get the tax benefits. And what's really cool about it is it's not a donation. It's set up like a donation. It's more like a low interest loan. So whatever money we're able to pay back can go towards another donation if they would like.
Wow. Well, that's very interesting.
Okay, I think you've partially answered another question that we had also, and that was, not that one, different one. How can we as individuals or how can organizations provide support for you? And I think you've addressed that to some extent.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I'm hoping I'll be able to drop just a little digital sheet here with some contact information here for folks. But the first part is whether you do it with the way out or not. Higher Ed Justice Involved job seeker. If you are an employer or if your friend or family owns a business, definitely do that. If you choose to contact us, I've sent this out. Hopefully it'll be posted on the website, but you can contact me at Rivera, Erivera at twout.org. So Rivera at twout.org. And we can start the conversation there. Other things that can be done, of course, there's the GoFundMe page. There's, all these other opportunities, but really get the word out, and reach out to us, and we would be happy to work with you or any organization or civic club or business consortium, whether you're a Rotary Club or a business council. Let's work together to make this happen. This is all new. This is a space that is new. There's a lot of considerations to be made, but nothing happens if nothing happens. So
Right.
Folks, take a chance and take a first step.
Well, Ellie, it sounds like, it's really, really amazing how far you've come in only, what is it, about 9 months?
Short time.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, it was May that we really started, after those meetings at the end of 2019, started really working on the idea. So yeah, it's been pretty phenomenal. And from a technology standpoint, it's just been 3 months roughly, and it's been an incredible ride and just so fulfilling and such a pleasure to see the community step up in instances such as this, just getting the word out, and we're sure someone will speak to someone who'll speak to someone, and it'll turn into something.
Yeah.
Here's another question for you. Are the goal incentives that you mentioned provided by the Way Out or by the participating employers? How is it coordinated?
Yep. So initially by us, we'll work with the justice involved job seeker to see what's going to be motivating to them, and we'll personally put that into the pot right now as we build up more and more organizations that are donating gift certificates or whatever it is that we come to find out. We haven't really had the opportunity to do that as we've been busy onboarding folks, but if anybody if you own a business and you want to contribute to the prize pool, please let us know. Again, nothing is more motivating than a prize or incentive for the individual and or their family.
Okay, and Ellie, if I happen to win the lottery, there's no upper limit on what I can donate, right?
Let me think about that now.
Okay. You think very quickly.
Ellie, what are some ways to keep in contact and communicate with you with a Way Out? I know you have a newsletter that comes out on a monthly basis. Is there a way that we can see that just by going to your Way Out website, or what?
No, you're in the know. You're kind of part of our secret society of folks, Bud and Sarah. You're getting an exclusive newsletter, but we will be making something much more public. We are working, as I mentioned, Marquette University is finishing up some additional work that will also influence our website, where we'll have a lot more communication kind of coming through there. But right now, go to twout.org. And we'll keep things updated there. Certainly, our LinkedIn, our Facebook page, all of the usual suspects are in play. Our Facebook is The Way Out Milwaukee, and so and again, we're a startup, so we're very accessible. So Rivera at twout.org or support at twout.org. It's easy to get in contact with us.
Okay.
Thank you.
Here's another question. What are your thoughts about the Biden administration in regards to prison reform and supportive programs such as yours?
I think without getting political in any sense, I think we are living in a time where we've all been made aware of some of the issues at large in our communities. We have, started to understand that you can't keep a problem over there or over there without it influencing us as a whole. I hope that politically or otherwise, people keep an open mind and really do continue to make social justice a focus, as well as looking at our prison system, our systems that are set up, to create this pipeline into the prisons, and we have to break that formula that exists right now in whatever way, government, independently, as entrepreneurs, or otherwise. We're all in this together. And Ruben, being a Navy veteran, he always says it's a one team, one fight mentality.
Well,
Okay.
Ellie, I'm sorry, we just got the word that we're kind of out of time.
Okay.
We're almost at the end here, but I know all of our viewers will join me in thanking you for being here today and sharing so much wonderful information with us about the way out. So thank you. Little virtual.
Yeah, well, thank you all. And thank you, Tosa Together,
Yeah.
everybody, for making this happen and for being here.
Yeah, and if you have any final comment that you would like to make, you have about 41 seconds.
2 minutes, 1 minute, whatever.
Well, again, this is everyone's problem, and everyone holds the solution as well. It's not going to change overnight, but we all deserve second chances and should never be judged by the worst thing we've done or a lapse in
That's very
judgment.
true. Thank you for
Okay.
reminding us of
Okay,
that.
go ahead.
Well, not only then are we saying many thanks to you, Ellie, but thank you also, our Facebook audience, for your time and interest, as well as your thoughtful questions. And as always, special thank you to our generous friends at Bostic, whose support makes the entire Tosa Talk series possible.
And plan on joining again on March 17th and March 25th for our next Tosa Talks, featuring Indigenous rights activist Jenny Moret and Milwaukee County Board Supervisor, as well as a Tosa School Board member, Sean Rowland. Recordings of all of the Tosa Talks can be found on the Tosa Together YouTube channel, and we have just added a very special one, okay? Feel free to reach out to Tosa Together anytime through our Facebook page, our website, or by emailing us directly at tosatogether@gmail.com. And finally, this is
Sarah Hudson.
and Bud Hudson with Tosa Together, and it has been our pleasure to be here with our very special guests. And Ellie, you know who that was, okay?
Thank you.
And also with all of our audience.
Yes.
So
Yes.
thank you very much. It was a wonderful evening.
Yeah, thank you very
Thank
much.
you. Good night, everybody. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.